Jake and Good Jive. So, the topic of our teaching among the view, meditation, conduct, or ground, path, and fusion. We have covered and finish discussing about the view, importance of view, and different kinds of view that we should possess as a Buddhist practitioner. So from today I will start discussing or sharing about path, or maybe you can also call it meditation. Meditation in the sense practice. So maybe before we will talk meditation itself maybe later, but before that I would like to share some essential points of our practice in general as a path. Because since Buddhism has a very rich different kinds of paths, and it's important to know and also important to use them as a path in order to reach the liberation. So I will first speak a little bit about what it means to be practicing. Maybe here I'm using the word practice same as in meditation. And then maybe later the process, what is the correct process of practicing the path. The first of all, the relationship between the view and the meditation is, as I said before, having a right view is like having an eye, which means in order to embark on a certain journey, you have to have an eye to know that what is your direction of your journey. So knowing where to go clearly and having that kind of clarity about your destination is a view. Even though there are different layers of view, some of them you practice and then as a result it will arise, but generally speaking we can say that view is knowing very clearly where you want to go. want to go is very important, but it doesn't really take you to the way you want to reach. So second important thing is like you have to have a lake. Yeah? So just staring towards the destination won't reach there. So through that you have to take a step. You have to walk. And this is exactly what it means to be meditating or practicing Dharma. Just having certain kind of knowledge won't change anything, how we react, how we behave. And until we change our reactions and behavior, nothing changes. Our suffering will be the same suffering. Our illusions will be the same illusions. It's kind of like if you're interested into cooking, you want to become like a master chef, and then you can buy a library, right, of the cookbooks, but then it doesn't really mean that you will become good chef. So you have to do something. Because of that, actually the practice in the Tibetan word similar in the Sanskrit, the gom, or let's say nyamsu lempa. It is very strong word. It means that taking something as an experience. So when we study, we collect knowledge, but still it's just understanding, it's not experience. So nyamsu lempa means whatever we have understood, now our responsibility is that developing or transforming that understanding in the experiential level, and this is what we call nyamsu lempa, taking it as experience, not rather the information, merely information. And similarly, the word bhavana in Sanskrit also has this sense of actualizing or experiencing something internally. And because of that, Buddha also stated again in his sutras that I show you the path, but then it's really up to you how you walk, or you have to walk by yourself. So even though in we use the word, this process of experience as a path, but I think sometimes we little bit don't, because when you say path, immediately what comes into our mind is something that is out there that you have to do, right? Metaphorically. So I think if we use the word, yes, it is, we can also, but I think if we use the word journey within the path, that will be more, I think. So it's not just something out there, as a path, but it is something who you are, what you do, and how you react. You know. So I think we can also understand it from the when we hear the word path or the lam, we should also take it more like internally rather than something out there. Like, oh, this is my spiritual journey. It's talking about my spiritual journey. So it becomes more something who you are, how you react, and what do you do. And there is, if you study philosophical texts or like gradual path, and there philosophically we can talk about the different stages of the path and the signs, the cause, and the symptoms, and the obstacles and the antidotes of each path. But maybe to make it more relevant, I think if we understand it as like a journey, now when we go to some, when it is a journey, there's two things. Maybe you can call it. It's kind of like character. There's certain kind of like a positive thing that you are very excited to, or there are certain kind of negative things that you are disappointed. Right? Imagine you're going to some new place, and these two things happens during the journey. You will be completely excited, or it will be much better than how you expected, or you will be disappointed and it's not as good as you have expected, and you will be disappointed. So when we say journey, these two are something that we should, even though it's a character of journey, but in the spiritual journey, these are two kind of hooks that you will be distracted, you know. They will make you slow, distracted, not to reach your goal. This excitement and maybe in Dharma term we can normally we call the attachment and aversion. So it's not necessarily has to be a strong attachment or anger, but it could be something very easy, like let's say I want to meditate today, and even before the meditation, the very primary obstacle is that, oh, my meditation will be good. I want to do it perfectly, you know. And this hope and fear, excitement and disappointment will be there. So if you start with meditation with that kind of mentality, then it is already disrupt your meditation. So this is the obstacle at the primary level. If you start meditation thinking like, okay, so this is my daily responsibility, I have to meditate, you know, it's like you taking medicine. So you have to take it medicine every day in order to cure, right? You don't think too much about will it be sweet or will it be bitter, yeah? You don't think too much about taste of medicine. You just do it because it's necessary and it's helping you. And you have to be patient for the you cannot be too excited thinking that, oh, I will eat medicine today and maybe by tomorrow morning everything will be gone, you know. It's like overexcited problem. And then you might stop taking medicine by tomorrow just because it didn't cure you. This is also exactly happens a lot in Dharma, especially with meditation. And another is that you meditate and then you expect too much, that you want to be completely almost enlightened, you know, after the meditation. It didn't happen, and then you will be disappointed. And this disappointment will stop you to doing again. And so this strong hope and fear, that is triggered by our excitement and disappointment, are the two main kind of things that you should watch through the mindfulness and consciousness. And whenever you feel a little bit overly excited, overly disappointment, you have to come back and just keep. Imagine that you want to climb a Mount Everest, and then you start journey, and then somewhere in the base camp you saw some beautiful flower, right? And you become so excited with the flower, you just wanted to stay there and stay to the flower, you know? And then it will forget you that actually you didn't come for the flower, you know. So if you take our so-called practice as a journey, and you have to prepare for these two exaggerated and denigrated emotions again. You are not being the middle way. So if you do that, you are not being a middle way, how to say, traveler, or, you know, you're already into the extremes of your practices. And it's not only with the meditation, everything. If you practice compassion, it also happens the same. If you're overly excited, that's a problem. And so another word, this gom, means that okay, so when we say I, or me, or my problem, or my suffering, what do you mean? What if you really look at what it really means is that there is this I, you know, whether it is conventionally or ultimately, that's a different subject, but we are here, and this we cannot deny, even though it's unconventionally, but we are here, and I am here because of that. I'm having this problem. So that's why we call this samsaric being as an existent. Right? The problem was that you are exist somehow. We don't know where, how, but you exist, and that's why we have to eat, we have to sleep. But not only that, you eat one time, but then again you get hungry. That's the second problem. So that's why when Buddha said, like in the Prajnaparamita, that when he talks about this, how to practice Prajnaparamita, okay, it's easy. Look at your 5 aggregates, right? because this is our components. We say, oh, this is me or this is I. And why we are suffering is that there's two ways to look from the Buddhist point of view as a view or the practice. And one way to see is that, oh, I exist, because of that all the problem starts from. So it's kind of like a negative thing. So it's just being existent was the core problem. And of course, whole purpose of Buddhist practice is that to get rid out of this existence, the unending loop of existence of aggregates, karmic, and distorted emotions. This is what exactly Buddhist definition of liberation means, that as long as you are in this loop, you are still in the loop of existence, you will be suffer. And once you are completely out of this chain or the loop of the existence, and then you are liberated. So now, but if you look a little bit from the Mahayanist point of view, then it is a good news. There is a chances of liberation because you exist. If you don't exist, there's no chance that you will be liberated. So now you can become enlightened because you exist. But the problem is that this existence has some sort of aspects and this nature. As long as you are dealing with these aspects, that's the problem. You are in samsara. It becomes a source of our sufferings. And if you know the nature of this existence, then actually it's almost like a source of liberation. So now the problem is, am I confused with this aspect's appearance, or have I understood this reality, or you can say ultimate truth, the conventional truth of who I really am? So in a way you can say the whole process of what we call the practicing is that figuring out this, what is the imitation of you, or let's say what is the appearance aspects of you, and how to deal with it, and what is the true nature of you, and how to recognize it. So it's almost like the whole, our practice is that it's like a peeling out all these layers of what we identify ourselves as a me, one by one, and trying to go closer to the natural me, so to speak, for the sake of communication. To do that, okay, now to make it a little bit simple, when we say I, although we talk about 5 aggregates, right? Form, perception, formation, consciousness, and so forth. But to make it easy, we can say we have this physical me, where I like my blood, skin, all these things, fleshes. And there's a, how to say, psychic me, mental me, so to speak. So there's a body and there's mind. And when you combine this, we say this is I. But of course, on the top of that, we label a lot. I'm not just combination of body and mind, but I am human being, And not only that, I'm this, I'm that, I'm important, I'm father, I'm. So when you have so many skins, labeling skins. The more labeling skins you have, it will trigger our disturbing emotion, which will turn into our suffering. More hooks, right? So all these are sensors, actually, you can say. Sensors, which triggers our disturbing emotions. Each of layers, like me as I am a man, or I am a teacher, or I am important, or I am a middle class. So all this labeling. So the less labeling, less sensor for your emotions. The more labeling, more sensor for your emotions. So it will be very easy to trigger. Let's say I'm a teacher, and if somebody comments me and say that I think you're not good teacher, it will really, disturb me for a long time, because this is my very sensitive button, to be pushed. But then if say somebody comes and say, well, you might be a good teacher, but you're not good cook, I really don't care, because it's not my identity, right? And it's vice versa. If you tell the master chef or the somebody who is a real chef and say, you know, you're not good teacher, you're good cook, but then if you're not good teacher, he won't care. But if you say that you are a good teacher, but you're not good cook, it will really disturb him. Yeah. So see how our identity becomes the sensor to trigger our emotions. So what I'm trying to say is that our suffering depends on how we react, and how we react depends on all these identities, false identities especially. Imagine these two persons, they just took it as I'm a combination of, let's say, body and mind, and then if you say you're a very good combination of body and mind, but you're not good teacher, yeah, I don't care, because it's just labeling. I don't feel like he's saying to me, I feel like he is generalizing it. But then when he says that, oh, you're not good teacher, now this become a personal, isn't it? Sometimes when we argue, we say, oh, don't be personal, right? It means something that you take it very seriously, and it really triggers your emotions. So how we identify ourselves becomes a very big issue, even though unfortunately we never think like that. Almost we think like I'm born as a teacher. It is like almost innate thing of me, but it's not. Nobody will be born as a teacher. It's something that labeled. So in Buddhism, normally we call it this dak chejin, the strong attachment to your identity, in a way. Less you have that confusion, less problem. So now what I'm trying to say is that when we say I'm practicing meditation, to put it very simple, whether we like it or not, we exist, we are here. And when we say we or I'm pointing to this, my mind and body. And since whether I like it or not, my body is with me, especially my mind until I die, but my mind will be with me. So it's very important to take care of our body and mind both. Especially taking care of mind is very, very important, because this is your identity, isn't it? This is your identity. This is the source of your happiness and suffering. So if you disregard this mind, and then it's really like you're disregarding one of the most essentials. But unfortunately, let's see in our daily life, we pay a lot of attention to our body, right? In the physical world. You wake up in the morning, you have a bathroom. For what? For mirror for what? For our body. And you have a toothpaste, toothbrush, 10 different kinds of shampoos, lotions. See, we have quite a lot. So actually, we can say we do take care of our body quite well, if not more than necessary. But when you wake up in the morning, do we really think what is the state of my mind? Normally we don't. We just let mind go very wildly, and you look in the mirror and make sure you look good, right? But we never look in the mirror and think that, oh, what is the state of my mind? Is it negative or positive? You know, am I starting my day with negative mind or not? Or in the dharmic term, you can say, am I starting my day with a virtuous mind or non-virtuous mind? We don't do that. So we don't screen our mind. That's the biggest problem. So we are regarding something that is secondary as in very important, but then we forget this very important part. Again, after that we go to breakfast, we eat, we take shower, so many things. See, everything is for body, nothing is for mind. So that's why practicing in general, especially like meditation or being in present moment, or at least like doing your behavior with the embrace of mindfulness and conscientiousness is very, very important. Even not for the enlightenment, maybe enlightenment is second, our long-term vision, but let's say if you want to have a nice day, you know, imagine you walked without taking shower, without taking toothbrush, you know, without brushing your tooth. What happens? You look very clumsy. You will smell, right? All your day. And similarly, actually, if you start your morning with a clumsy mind, smelly mind, it will affect whole your day. Not only you, but all the peoples that you encounter during the day. So what I'm trying to say is that the practice of meditation is actually not something you're doing extra, but it is just taking care of our mind, but very wisely. Of course, sometimes we think like, oh, I'm bored, I want to watch TV, I'm bored, I want to listen to music, I want to play. These are also seems like you're taking care of our mind, but they are not doing it wisely. You are just kind of covering it up with some sort of other temporary methods. Now, how to do that? Again, the gom has a sense of that you do something and you do it again and again. And through that, you create this very healthy habit. This is what actually being habituated with something. Yeah? This is what it means. Maybe there's a certain kind of, maybe the word practice is quite nice in this context, because you do something, you know, when you practice, you just don't do one time. Yeah? You do it again and again. So this is what it means, practice or the goal, so that we study and we use all this knowledge. What is healthy mind? What is unhealthy mind? And then actually through the mindfulness and all the other methods, checking ourselves in our daily life often and seeing that, as I said, whether your mind becoming a little bit overexcited or whether your mind is becoming a little bit overly disappointed. Each time you do that, no, come back, wrong way. this is very common through the mindfulness, conscientious, and the carefulness, right? Because these are like the three tools that we have in order to take care of our mind. And also, so creating this positive habits, because when you have these negative habits which comes from the ignorance, will create more problems. So now you have to transform that, and this is also the actually meaning of inner transformation, the meaning of dharma. When we say chu, means that you transform something that is in the state of negative to the state of positive. This is also and by doing that again and again, then it's called the go. Now again here, if you're overly excited or disappointment, you cannot do it again and again. See the relationship? Imagine that you want to become a good soccer player, or let's say piano player, and then by the overexcitement you want to learn 100 songs in the one day. What happens? You will give up from the second day. So in order to keep this practice, regardless of what happens, continuity is very important to continue, especially because practicing Dharma is a very long race. You have to be patient. I used to say this, that practicing Dharma is not like doing a fast food business where you can see your profit in a week or month or year. It is like investing in hydropower. At least you have to wait 20 years. It's a big investment, but you have to be very patient. And so there's the word gom, practice, has that sense that you have to be, what do you call it, not a narrow-minded, but wide, and not a short-term goal-oriented, yeah? You have to be really long-term goal-oriented. And to do that, the biggest obstacle is over-excitement and over-disappointment. These are, you have to watch. And when you clear these two things, you're almost safe. And of course, on top of that, we need inspiration, right? We think that, maybe inspirations comes from good lama, good practitioner, monk, but actually it's not. Yeah, it is true, but it's only not that. If you look at what I'm practicing, is that you're practicing the law of nature. And you don't have to ask or see lama or teacher to understand what is law of nature. It's happening everywhere, every day. So you can take all those impermanence, changes, emotions, boredness, excitements, as a source of inspiration. And of course, if you have someone good practitioner or teacher, maybe the inspiration is more clear, more vivid. But you can take inspiration for anything, because what you are practicing is four sils. And if you look at the four sils, we're just trying to deal with this law of nature, yeah, not particular race or the view or idea or person. So when we say practicing, again, since, like, let's say four sils is our view, and when you practice, you're doing nothing but to develop that view, to enhance that view, you know, to deepen that view. That's it. That's why maybe I was saying again and again that if you don't have a view, you don't have a meditation. So, to sum up, I was talking about the how to understand the meaning of practice or path or meditation. And it is important to know that it's something, not you do something out there, it is very much understanding who you are and how you react. And the is all about taking care of our mind wisely, correctly, and also creating these positive habits so that each time you react correctly, and excitement and disappointments are the two things that we should watch and try to not caught up by these emotions. And maybe I will continue and talk about the process of the meditation or our path. Sunam Dir Tamshe Sikpani Tomne Ne Pedranam Pamje Ne Kega Nachi Bala Drubai Sipe Sole Drowa Drowa Shu. By this merit may all attain omniscience. May it defeat the enemy wrongdoing. From the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara may I free all beings.